Hello, I'm back and we're ready for round two of our massive book haul. Last time we did everything that was mass market paperback size, and this time we're doing everything else. Um, I'm going to go ahead and try to go through these quickly, and I will let the pop-ups do most of the talking for me. So, first we'll start off with pirates. So, we'll get this going. This is I'm currently reading Andre Norton's Yankee Privateer, a pirate or privateer book. Although I haven't seen the captain's paperwork, but it is illustrated. I am currently reading that right now. And then we also have The Republic of Pirates, being the true and surprising story of the Caribbean pirates and the man who brought them down. And in that same vein, we have The Buccaneers of America. These ones I found as a group. This is, I've never actually read this author. I don't know anything about her. It's Melissa Scott, so if any of you know of her, let me know. But I couldn't resist this cover. And there were two more there with it. This is The Roads of Heaven. By the way, that first one was called The Kindly Ones. And this is Mighty Good Road. Then we have a Carter Dixon. This is The Skeleton in the Clock. And this is an anthology, The Web She Weaves. Anthology of mystery and suspense stories by women. And we can see we have Edith Wharton, Dorothy L. Sayers, Agatha Christie, there's Shirley Jackson's in there, P.D. James, Joyce Carol Oates. And this one is claiming to be a gothic. It is Catherine Marchant, who is Catherine Cookson, writing The Finn Tiger. I read the inside flap. Like I said, it says it's a gothic, but it sounds more just like a romance, but I'm not sure yet. And I think it was, well, I've heard a few people talk about Maigret by Simenon, and I know Jeff has talked about them. I think Nick has talked about them, and probably Jim at Mystery and Mayhem, but this has three: Maigret and the Mad Killers. It has Maigret Hesitates, Maigret's Pickpocket, and Maigret and the Killer. So I figured this would be a good sampler for me to give a try. And a Joan Vinci I did not have. This is Alien Blood. Love that cover on there. And this one was a library find. So, and again, all the library books were 50 cents. As this one was also from the library. This is The Empire of Fear by Brian Stableford, a vampire novel. And this is The Williamson Effect, edited by Roger Zelazny. This is a anthology of stories in honor of Jack Williamson. And you can see there we have David Brin, Frederick Pohl, Ben Boa, Paul Anderson, Fred Saberhagen, and more. Connie Willis, David Weber, Andre Norton, Mike Resnick, and all the rest. Now, I remember recently Andreea was having a live stream with Jake from Pulp Mortem and Virgil from Literally Books, doing a weird Western or Western Gothic. And I know that Virgil has talked before about bizarro fiction. As far as I know, I've never read any that I'm aware of, but I did find something that it says, and it sounds like bizarro fiction, called Punkland. And I'm not going to read off, but if you want to freeze frame and read that insane synopsis of the story. So I thought I will give Bizarro a try. This was another library find. This is Professor Jameson Saga, Book 1 by Neil R. Jones. Obviously a reprint, but and another anthology. This is the Playboy Book of Science Fiction, edited by Alice K. Turner. And no, there are no centerfolds. But what there is an incredible lineup of authors. And yes, that is Billy Crystal, the comedian, evidently wrote a science fiction story. Now, this next one could end up being problematic. I always loved the movie The Outlaw Josie Wales, and I found the two novels, Josie Wales novels. This first one, Gone to Texas, is the book that The Outlaw Josie Wales was based on, by Forrest Carter. I didn't know anything about Forrest Carter till after I bought it and looked him up. We'll see. This is Oxford Book of Victorian Detective Stories. And it is just loaded. Also from the library, a copy of Dan Simmons' The Terror. I couldn't believe it. That's why I love the library. It's 50 cents. It doesn't look like it's ever been read. And I know coming up, it's a ways away, but Private Eye July. I was seeing Jim at Mystery and Mayhem with his Private Eye July bingo card. And so I picked up a few. This is a reprint of The Experiences of Loveday Brooke, Lady Detective by Catherine Louisa Purkis. And it has a lot of the original illustrations from the magazines. And also from the old comic strips, this is Sally the Sleuth. This proves that I have no self-control, but I saw this and I'm sure people who are comic book fans know of this, but I've never heard of it before, and it cracks me up. This is Shirtless Bear Fighter. And it is exactly what it says it is. He's just a guy who gets called in to fight bears. I'm not sure why they didn't also call him Pantless Bear Fighter. And he flies around in the bear plane. On a more serious note, we have the Science Fiction Writers of America Grandmasters Volumes 1 and Volumes 2. Each of these contain 5 novels or novellas. You can see the lineup in Volume 1 there. And in Volume 2. And there's a third volume that I do not have that I'll need to find. I've said before that I collect the Flashman novels. I found 2 that I did not have. This is Flashman in the Great Game and Flashman and the Redskins. This is a non-fiction book. This is Death on the Cheap, the Lost B-Movies of Film Noir. And I found a couple of Haruki Murakami books. So far, when I know that Chris at Liminal Spaces loves this author. Before I said I could hardly ever find him, and lately I've been having a lot of luck. This is Wind and Pinball, and The City and Its Uncertain Walls. And then we have Terror on the Air, Horror Radio in America from 1931 to 1952. And you can see in here where a lot of the later film and TV stars got their start in radio. There's Agnes Moorehead from Bewitched fame. Rita Hayworth, and then Frank Sinatra over here. And Peter Lorre. So this next one I got because Mrs. Allspace, her sister is an artist, and this is DC's Who's Who from September 1991. And she's an amazing artist, but I got this because she did the Elastigirl in here. And at some point I'll do a flip through these. And I do also want to show off some of her other artwork. And at one point, also get her to come in and maybe do a live stream with me on some of the art books that we have. This is The Little People, Stories of Fairies, Pixies, and Other Small Folk. gorgeous artwork in there. And more artwork. This is Masters and Legends of Fantasy Art. You can see some of the examples of who's in there. Boris Vallejo, Julie Bell, Frank Frazetta Geiger, Chris Voss, Sid Mead, Brian Froud, Brothers Hildebrandt. I think this book is mainly for trying to teach people how to do digital art and getting pointers from how other artists do theirs, but I don't care about the digital art. I just want to see the pictures from there of, that's why I got it, for things like that. Also, we have Diary of a Space Person by Chris Voss. This is a unique art book in that Chris Voss did an art book, but he wrote it with these journal entries that purport that this was all a portfolio and manuscripts that were found, journals that were found in a future time when they were excavating for New Venice, I think it was, and they found these journals of somebody who was supposedly an art student and who ended up traveling across the galaxy, writing these entries and doing art. At some point I'm going to do a flip through of this. There's very few in here pages that I can show because there's quite a bit of nudes in them, and I know most people that watch on my channel wouldn't be offended, but you know, YouTube, somebody will, and then they'll flag me. But there's these different little journal entries, and then try to show some of the art that I can show. Then we've got the usual Chris Voss art in there as well. Interspersed with these other ones, but it's all done as if this other female artist who was traveling the universe was doing all these. And then Jean de La Fontaine, The Fables. I got this mostly because it is illustrated by Gustave Doré. I am a huge fan of Gustave Doré. I will get any book that he has illustrated. And at some point I will do a flip through of that as well. We also have the Rivals, science fiction rivals of H.G. Wells. These were all reprints of stories that were in Pearson's and The Strand, etc. That of people who were writing science fiction at the same time that H.G. Wells stories were in there. And they have all the original illustrations and layouts from the magazines. And this is the classic sci-fi film book, The Greatest Moments of 1950s Sci-Fi Cinema. This is very much a picture book. We have these great pieces from sci-fi films, the Metaluna Mutant from This Island Earth, and I will also do a flip through of that at some point. Here we have, I've said before, we collect fairy tales and folk tales. This is English fairy tales. Illustrated. This is a writer's book, science fiction writer series. I believe this, yes, this was put out by Writer's Digest Books, one of the many writing books that they put out. This is back before YouTube and Google and the internet, and before we could afford college. Writer's Digest was a big deal. I don't know if they still are or not, for aspiring writers to learn some of the techniques and tricks, and they would put out these books all the time. This is Aliens and Alien Societies, a writer's guide to creating extraterrestrial life forms, edited by Ben Bova. And I know Jeff at Jeff's Cave of Cool Books is always showing off these big book ofs, and they're all on my wish list on Amazon, but I try to find them without going to Amazon, and we found this at a thrift store, the Big Book of Female Detectives. And it is massive. I'm not going to go through all of it because there are a ton of stories in there. This is interesting. This is a Ursula K. Le Guin that I did not have. It's Always Coming Home, but it is in this slipcase that has a cassette in it. So there's these, I believe this people of this valley called the Kesh, and this has, excuse me, Pyewacket. Every time. So this has a cassette that has the music of the Kesh people and poetry and things like that you can listen to as you're reading the book. So I thought that was a unique concept. This is Adrian Tchaikovsky's Shards of Earth. I have quite a bit of his other books. This is another library find, another 50-cent book. This is The Book of the Gods by Fred Saberhagen. This has 3 stories in it. We have The Face of Apollo, Ariadne's Web, and The Arms of Hercules. Another Gothic. This is 2 Gothics in one. This is The Shrouded Walls and the Dark Shore by Susan Howatch. We get an overlay of images of 2 houses and 2 women running away from the houses. And then another book that I'm surprised I did not have. I have a lot of these short stories and other anthologies, but I've never been able to come across this one till now. And we found this at a Goodwill, The Best of John W. Campbell. That's the cover for Who Goes There? Story that's the basis for the thing. And another book of fairy tales. These are fairy tales from India. And if you remember the movie Romancing the Stone, the character's name in there was Joan Wilder, who was a romance writer. So when they did the novelization, I don't remember the name of the actual writer, but they used the pseudonym Joan Wilder for the novel. And somewhere here we have the sequel to that as well. I have almost all of Alexander Dumas on ebook and or audiobook, but I'm trying to collect them in physical form. This is The Night of the Maison Rouge. And in the last haul, you saw me with all the Dark Shadows books from the original run by Marilyn Ross. Laura Parker, who was the actress who played Angelique in the show. Later on, she also wrote books in the Dark Shadows universe, and she wrote 4 of them. The first one is Angelique's Descent. And then I'm not sure about the order of these other 2, but this is Wolf Moon Rising with Quentin, who you heard me mention his name a million times in the titles of all those other books. And this is Heiress of Collinwood with Victoria Winters and Barnabas Collins on the cover. And that is, by the way, that is on that first one, Angelique's Descent. That's the actual actress, Laura Parker, who played Angelique. And then the second book in the series, the Salem Branch, I showed that in a way back book haul where I found those. So now I have that series, entire series as well. This next was an anthology, Science Fiction A to Z, a Dictionary of the Great SF Themes. This was sort of a unique idea. I thought it was interesting. So what they do is they have these themes like mad scientist, matter transmitter, etc. And then they have a story that is representative of that. So rites of passage, obviously, Alexei Panshin. And then for robots, no surprise, Isaac Asimov. And they do that with all the way through. Then back on the mystery front, we have some more collections of Agatha Christie. These were all thrift shop finds. This is 5 complete detective novels. This has, I'll just let you see what those are there. Some of these I have in mass market paperback already, but I think I got these before I got those. This is 5 classic murder mysteries. And 5 complete novels of murder and detection. And I'm not sure how many of these Avenel books they put out. Speaking of mysteries, I am a huge fan of Dashiell Hammett. I have all of his fiction, but this is, and I have a couple of different biographies of his, but this is the selected letters of Dashiell Hammett from 1921 to 1960. He had a very interesting life, but and it has letters that he wrote to other people, Alfred Knopf, Lillian Hellman. A lot of letters to, obviously, Lillian Hellman. And another biography. This is Peter O'Toole, The Definitive Biography by Robert Sellers. This was another library find. Speaking of the library, well, first, I've got this book was sent to me by Deb from the Omnivorous Reader. She had a duplicate of this and showed it on her channel, The Shrinking of Treehorn, and mainly because this has artwork by Edward Gorey. I am a fan of Edward Gorey, and my wife is a uber fan of Edward Gorey. In fact, Deb, Mrs. Elspace told me that I needed to tell you from her, thank you. She did make sure that the thank you came from her because I've already read this and it is delightful. You just can't go wrong with Edward Gorey artwork. And so now that I've read this, this will be going into her Edward Gorey collection. We collect if there's a book that has just the book jacket has been done by Edward Gorey, it comes home with us regardless whether we're interested in the actual book or not. These next books we found at the library. They wouldn't normally be the type of things I bought, but these are in such amazing shape, and these are all basically children's books and children's readers, but they are from 1863, and the original owner has her name in it and the date that she got it, April 1863. And all of these books were either printed in 1862 or 1863. And I had to do a bit of translating to get that name, but it is Miss. That looks like a F, but that is the way they did some of their S's back then, is Miss Ludi. And I couldn't make out the last name, and they're from, I don't know if it's pronounced Leroy or Leroy, New York. And this is why I don't mind it when people write their name and the date in the front of a book. I know some collectors don't like that, but to me, it gives a sense of history, and it feels like almost like you're connecting with this person from the past who first owned this. So this is called Arthur's Triumphs, or Goodness Rewarded. And you can see she also, so this all came from the same person. I'm assuming they got passed down from generation to generation, and then sadly at some point ended up getting donated to our local library. But I'll make sure they're read and well taken care of. This is Red Brook, or Who'll Buy My Watercresses? Uncle Toby's Library. And this one is the vacation storybooks called Country Life. And again, we have Miss Ludi somebody. This one is called Rich and Humble by Oliver Optic, which is a pen name. Unfortunately, the first page that she would have written this on got torn out, but we still have her name in here. So we'll make sure those are, we'll read and well cared for. Speaking of Deb, she did a couple of videos on Roberta Gellis recently, and it mentioned that I had one for, she wrote a few sci-fi novels. Mostly she's known for historical romance, mythological romance, mythic romance. But she wrote 2 sci-fi novels under the pen name Max Daniels. I have one of those, searching for the other one. But she also wrote one under her own name, Roberta Gellis, and I found that because the universe likes me. This is Overstar's Mail, Imperial Challenge. That's such a fun pulpy cover right there. Then this is Death of a Postman by John Creasy. I don't think I've ever seen John Creasy out in the wild before. This one is from 1956. An anthology of erotic prose. I'm pretty sure by today's standards, this probably isn't all that erotic. It has a lot of stuff by Sir Richard Burton, from the Arabian Nights and the Kama Sutra and various others. Voltaire. We have some Oscar Wilde in there. And I have not played Dungeons and Dragons or any role-playing games since I was 17 or 18 years old. Mainly because there's nobody around me that I could do that with, or not enough of us around to do that with. But I still do like collecting some of the game books for role-playing games. And I've never heard of this one. I'm sure that people who are doing role-playing may have heard of it. But this is a pulp pickup RPG that is based around the old vintage pulp stories called Spirit of the Century. So basically think of all those old pulp cereals that they used to have, and this seems to be based around those as your world that you're in. I don't know if I could find a way to create a role-playing group that could stream live on StreamYard or something and figure out how to do that. I would be 100% in on that. As for TV tie-in novels, I've said before that I collect them. I have all the old novelizations or novel tie-ins for Blake 7. I did not realize, I knew that Big Finish Audio did audio of a lot of them, but I didn't know they also had book versions of those. This is Blake 7, The Forgotten. So now I'll need to find out. I'm afraid to go down that rabbit hole. I've stayed away from the Doctor Who tie-ins just because I would need a TARDIS to carry them all. But I don't know. I'm afraid to look and see how many Blake 7 books there are. And then also we have quite a few of these Firefly tie-in books, but we're still missing a few, and we didn't have this one. Back to our sea stories. This is Great Stories of the Sea and Ships, illustrated by Peter Hand. That is beautiful cover. These black and white illustrations. For those of you who want to check out, this is the time to do it, because we are going to show some Andre Nortons. This is the Starcats and the Winged Warriors. This is a 4-part series. I had the other 3. I was missing this one. So that series by Andre Norton is now complete. This is Mark of the Cat, Year of the Rat. These are 2 stories that are linked together. These are 2 stories that are linked together. I already had Mark of the Cat, and then it was later re-released with this tie-in, Year of the Rat. So now I have both of those. And this is Ride the Green Dragon by Andre Norton and Phyllis Miller. We have The Monster's Legacy. And these are her espionage, Cold War, post-World War II novels. Fighting Nazis. These are The Sword is Drawn, The Sword in Sheath, and At Sword's Point. Then we have 2 more Andre Norton Westerns. This is Ride Proud Rebel, and its sequel, this is a reprint because I cannot find the original, and I'm pretty sure I couldn't afford it if I could find it. It's the sequel, Rebel Spurs. And this is the children's book, Bertie and May, of Andre Norton and Bertha Stem Norton. This wraparound cover, non-science fiction. And then last, this is a science fiction children's book, and this is The Day of the Nest, illustrated by Michael Gilbert. It's a children's sci-fi story, and with this completes it. I now have everything ever put into print, every story ever put into print by Andre Norton. Short stories, novellas, novels, across all genres, across all pen names. Andre Norton is, you can tell I mentioned Andre Norton and look who shows up. Yes, we know it's your favorite. But that's it. Sorry, I'm distracted by a cat now. So that is it. I now have the complete bibliography of Andre Norton. The only thing I don't have of Andre Norton is the stuff that was never put into print. Some of the stuff after she died that was collected of partial works that are only available on AndreNorton.com. They were never put into actual print. But any story that she wrote that was published, I now have. So that is going to be it for now. That is everything that I bought from the one more thing. Pulp magazines. We'll do that next time. Until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.